Minutes podcast. My name is Leah. I am known as Miss_LJV on Instagram, and I'm known as Eventual on Ravelry. Thank you for being here today. I feel like it's been like 3 weeks, maybe, since I have podcasted. It's been really busy, and I feel like my last episode, it was really short and rushed, and I didn't get to like anything. And at least I got to talk about my shawls, and I went back to be like, did I talk about them? If it's so long ago. And I did, so I'm not going to talk about them again. Today is July 16th. It's a Tuesday, and I believe this is episode 13. One of these days I will remember. I believe it's 13. Today I'm going to talk about a lot of different things. So get something to drink, strap yourself in, and let's go. Today I'm drinking something unusual. I don't really drink a lot of like sodas or juices or anything, and even this I'm not gonna be able to finish. Steve will definitely be drinking the rest of it, but this is amazing. It's called Wisco Pop, and it is a cherry soda, and literally all that's in it are cherries, cinnamon, vanilla, lemons, cane sugar, and sparkling water. I think in the reverse order though. Yeah, water, then sugar, then all the juices, and cinnamon. So it tastes literally like you're drinking ground up cherries. It's so good. So, and also sorry if I have extra air from drinking a carbonated beverage. You should definitely try it. The other flavor that I've also had of theirs is grapefruit, and again, it's like, if you like grapefruit, it's like drinking liquid grapefruit. It's delicious. What do I want to start with today? Let's start with my finished objects. So, I have one finished object, and I'm actually really excited for it. I hope I can figure out how to put like video or pictures or something in to show you what it looks like on me, but I finished my Cobain by Resonance. It is and then the back detail. Okay, well, first of all, I would like to talk about the back detail. So in the pattern it says that this part is worked flat, and so I was like, oh, because it's stuck in it. I can't remember what I thought. It's like I thought that she like wanted to have you avoid doing a certain thing, or maybe it's a, I don't remember what I thought, but for the first section of it I did not work flat and instead just kept working in the round. And then once I got to the part where you had to make like the actual like hole and connect it, then I was like, oh yeah, so these ones end up a lot bigger because you're actually working back and forth. I have a hair in my eye. And so these end up being bigger, but by the time I got to this part or whatever, and then I was like, you know, like, do I go back? And I had already, you know, knit so much, and I was not gonna go back. So it's not a big deal, but the detail in the back is cute. And then you go up, and okay, I will admit I still haven't blocked this, and so like the lace itself is, I feel like, not as open as it will be. So the front is shorter than the back. The back, as you get to the end part, it goes all the way down, and then it's a seed stitch hem. I was very proud of myself for actually getting through the seed stitch hem. Seed stitch, much like linen stitch, is just excruciating for me after a certain point, but it's only like 5 rows, I think, or 6 rows. This is amazing. It fits super well. I really particularly love how she has you do the bind off in the opposite color. It looks really nice. The same thing here, bind off in the opposite color. It's very flattering on the neckline, and it was like, this is a whole ass garment, and it was super easy to knit. I knit it mostly over like the course of like 15 hours. I might have stayed up until 5 a.m. the day that I finished it. just so I could literally wear it like 6 hours later when I went to the mall with my sister and her family. It was really nice. I was plenty cool all day wearing this, and everyone else was sweating to death because it got hot from walking around the mall, and it was really hot outside, and it's been really hot outside. If you live in the United States, you're probably experiencing the same thing no matter where you are. So yeah, this is Cobain by Rizenitz. It is knit in Swan's Island DK, and the colorway is... I'll add the colorway. I said it last time. And the that's the Swan's Island. No, this is Swan's Island. This is something else. I'll put them on the bottom. I bought 2 skeins of the lavender, and that ended up not being... Like, I used 1 entire skein, and then I had a decent amount left over. I don't have it around me. A decent amount left over. I used every single bit of this, and I do really enjoy how it turned out. The second skein, the skein of the of this stuff, like, it had a few like this, like where it's a little uneven, it's a little frayed, and of course it always comes out on the wrong side. I'm gonna probably pull it in and like cinch it down. But like there were a couple of those as I got towards the end of the skein. And that was a little unfortunate, but otherwise like everything was great. The lavender ball it's like the whole skein, and then there was like this chunk that seemed like it was not purposefully misdyed or like lighter dyed, but so then you ended up getting this kind of like lighter sections of what would be pooling, I guess, but it's not because of stripes. And like that's fine, that's not a big deal to me, but if I was knitting something else that might have bothered me a little bit, just because it like stands out and it seems like not a design choice, seems like more of an error more than anything. But on this, I love it. It's so comfortable. I want to wear it all the time. Doesn't slip off. It like fits nicely. Very happy to have it. And that's all that I have finished. I am working on my vanilla latte socks, which I will grab. Alright, so I have my vanilla latte socks. I've been working on these for a while. I have only been knitting them on road trips, and now I've actually been working on them at work during like meetings and stuff. And so I'm almost done. I will definitely, like by the end of the week probably, have them finished. So here's my finished sock. I was looking over at my sock blockers. Here's my finished sock. It's knits and pearls, and I had put it down for so long, I believe I talked about this before, that I didn't realize I was doing a stockinette stitch heel, and so I started doing a slip stitch heel. And then, yep, this is the cuff. And so I want to say like maybe 2 color repeats until I start the toe. So I'm getting close. And on this one, I think this is the only pair of socks I've ever done like a stockinette heel on. So here's the stockinette heel. I feel like I ended up somehow with like 2 extra stitches, I think, but whatever. It's socks. The colorway is Friday I'm in Love by, I want to say, Canon Hand Eyes. I will correct it if it is wrong. I believe it's Canon Hand Eyes though. Friday I'm in Love, and yeah, I love these. I think I started these like around Valentine's Day, so maybe not like a year, but a while, like, you know, more than 6 months. And yeah, I'm really excited to have these cute socks. I purposefully don't really like, I don't care about matching my socks, so I don't mind that the stripes start differently. I may have started this like on the next color repeat. Yeah, because it's pink and then, wait, pink and then black maybe, or maybe I didn't want to start it on pink. I might have even, look at that, I might have even purposefully not started this one on pink because it ends on pink and it's not that much, so I feel like I might have purposefully started it on black. Who knows with me. So yeah, that is what I'm working on for that. The next thing that I am working on, I'm all over the place. I was like, I had some cute scissors in there and I don't know where they went. They might, I'm trying to think of where they might be. They might be in Steve's car. They're really cool scissors. Oh, you know, they're probably in another project bag, which is downstairs. Unfortunate. Yeah, so what am I thinking? Like, what is that I'm working on? Because it's not. Haha, it's not downstairs. I didn't realize I brought it upstairs. Look at these scissors, you guys. So, I don't know what these are. These were just, I was at Sauzier. I was in Madison this weekend. I'll talk more about it later. But I was in Madison this weekend, and one of the, like, impulse purchase, like, on the counter next to the register things were, like, these little, looks like reading glasses sort of scissors. And I thought about how people have talked about, you know, when you go places, sometimes you get your stuff confiscated, or they'll be like, oh, that's a weapon, blah, blah, blah. Like, these little scissors, like, you pull out, push up, and then you have scissors. That's so cool. And then if you want to put them back, you pull them. You need a little bit more strength, pull them, and then, oh, ah. So cool. Yeah, so I'm super excited. These were only like $5. I honestly should have maybe bought a couple more pairs because they are neat. So neat. The next thing I'm working on is a test knit for Paper Daisy Creations, Lisa Ross, and it is called the Diamond Duality. And you guys, I could not love this anymore. I really could not love this anymore. I like think about it all day and I want to be knitting on it all day. It's called Diamond Duality because it has diamonds in it. Yay! It's blowing it out a little bit. This is like a really rich, deep purple. And then right now it's not very contrasty, but I will show you the yarn. This is, I showed it a few episodes ago. This is my Secret Garden yarn by Knit Circus. And it is a tonal gradient, and you see I'm almost done with the deep purple. Then it's gonna start getting lighter and lighter. So by the time I get to the end, this is an asymmetrical shawl that starts out smaller like this. You know, I started with just 3 stitches down here, and then by the time I get to the end, it's gonna be really wide, right? I really wanted to start with the darker color on this side, and hopefully with the contrast with the black yarn, which this is Jackson Co. DRS Jackson's King in the North, which I'm still loving. It's like not a true black, and it's not, it's like, I don't know, I'm really drawn to it because it's such a tonal black. It's not like it's like not trying to be a black that it's not, if that makes sense. So I really, really like it, and I'm so happy to be knitting with it, and I'm so happy to be promoting his stuff. And so yeah, anyway, I really like it. I actually have never done this kind of, don't tell Lisa. I've never actually done like this like intense of lace before. Like, it's not super intense, but like I just haven't. Not that I can't, and I haven't, and it's like super intuitive to me, like being able to read the knitting I'm really, really enjoying it. I'm super terrified of making a mistake because I don't want to let her down. There's been 2 times, one at the very beginning and one just like once, like the second to top circle or yarn over row, right at the very beginning of that row. I noticed that I made a mistake, like I forgot a yarn over, or yeah, forgot a yarn over in one, and then I can't remember what mistake I did in the other one, but it was really easily fixable. I didn't have to even think back. Like for the one that I forgot the yarn over at the very beginning, I just made one, right? Like, and just, it's not that difficult to if it was just one row back, to just quick make a yarn over and pull, you know. So that's been good. I've been like meticulously tracking in a way that I normally don't when I am doing knitting. Which reminds me, I have been meaning many times during episodes to call out Knit Companion. So I use Knit Companion, I think for like all access to all features. I want to say it's like $15. I might be lying, it might be less. I'll double check and answer right up below if it's not the case, but it's so worth it. Like, I don't even know how to use it all the way. Like, it's really like that complex. If you want it to be, you can make it simple, like me, where I just literally use the highlighter, like where I'm just like, this is the row I'm on, and highlight between it. You can mark it up, you can add notes, you can, it gives you each individual page. You can do it however you want. You can rotate the pages. So like on the chart for this, I have rotated the page so it's easier for me to track the chart. There's just so many different things you can do with it. It's so worth your money. It saves a lot of time and headache. Like before, when I was trying to do a pattern, I would like make tally marks, or I'd kind of like take janky notes on my phone or my iPad. Sometimes I would do it on paper, but then I would inevitably lose the paper. I'd lose the pen. That happens to me all the time. Like when I'm nesting, that my stuff just disappears. It gets eaten by the couch, or like knocked on the floor, or buried in my clothes, whatever. So Knit Companion has been a lifesaver, and I do not want to be without it. The other app that I use, if I just need a very simple counter and I don't want to go through the work of adding in my pattern to that, which isn't, it's not very difficult. You can save it to your device, or you can get it from Ravelry too, I believe, as long as your account is connected. The other one I use is, I think it's just called like Knit and Crochet Counter or something like that. And it's just a simple counter, and you just tap it to go up. You can press down. You can, I think that it does have like more options too, that like you can make it more complex, like pattern repeats and all that kind of stuff, but I really only use it to count up. But on the main page of Knit Companion, it gives you like 6 or 7 counters, like in their different colors. So it's like, oh, if I'm doing this pattern repeat and then I'm on this row, etc., if you really want to use it like that. I used it to keep track of rows and repeats and stuff like that. Sorry, there's really something in my eye. When I was working on my TMNT Initium shawl, it was really super helpful in that. So yeah, you should check both of those out. And I'm not sponsored or anything, they're just things that I really love. Both of these are fingering weight yarns, and she said that you're going to basically use all of them. Both of them, so I'm curious to see if I really do it, or like what my gauge is compared to hers and that kind of thing. So we will see. That is my most exciting knit right now, and it is living in my Clever Hound Creations cat bag. And this poor needs to be washed dirty bag that I take everywhere and I spill on probably every day. Who is this by? I'll have to go on my Etsy and look. But I love this bag, and I love putting my socks, especially in this bag. Like socks, right? Okay. This is for my mom. I have May finished on my Whether or Not shawl. scarf. So, to recap my whether or not. Here's January. Those stupid cold purple days. Here's February. From the pink to white. A couple more purple days. From white to pink. It's March. Wait. January, February, March, April. I don't know, I skipped February, I think. January that's what it was. It was so big. This is January. Then February. Okay, here's May. May is the pink to the yellow. So I believe it ends here. So if we take a look here at May, remember that this means that it's colder than normal. Ooh, it got really warm colored in here with this, with these warm colors. Or it could also be that the sun is going down also. If it has nothing, that means that it was about average. And then if it's here, it's warmer than normal for historical average. So we had a few warmer than normal days. The aconite, the yellow, that's called aconite, that is 60 degrees Fahrenheit to 74 degrees Fahrenheit. The meadow, which is the light green, is 45 degrees to 59 degrees. The orange is called Jaffa or Haffa, and that's 75 to 89. So these were days that were in the 80s. Or a couple of these were for sure in the 80s. I think it's these ones. Well, it could have been these ones too. We had a weird May. So it was mostly colder than average, with a few that were above average and a couple that were regular. So that's May. I am, whew, it's just very yellow. Huh, there you go. Maybe it's lightening up a little. I don't know. Yeah. So that was May. And we are, I think on the 20th of June, so I'm a month behind, but don't worry, I'm catching up now. Yeah, so this is a pattern by Scott Rohr, and it's called The Whether or Not, and it is just tracking about 15 degrees difference throughout the year. And I still have a lot of things I would change. It's like one of those things where I'm like, oh, next year when I do one, but like, will I want 2 of them? I'm not sure. Do I want one every year? Maybe. This yarn is Holst yarn. It feels pretty like crunchy, I think is what it was described as. And apparently it softens up and is super nice and is also great for garments. So I'm excited to maybe do something with that in the future. But yeah, so I am halfway, after June, I'm halfway through the year on this. And yeah, so that's that. I did finish my mom's like shawl. And what's really funny is when I gave it to her, I thought she was acting a little weird, like maybe she didn't like it and didn't want to say so, but she was like really like, no, I love it, and I was like, but you love it, but it's kind of, I don't know, something seems off, and she kept sending me like, oh, I've been using it as a lap blanket instead of a shawl. So I was like, oh, maybe it was too short. And she was like, no, it's not too short. And then she sent me like, my brother's girlfriend, like she really likes using it. It's really soft, right? Like if you've ever, I feel like most of you have probably, touched the Lion brand homespun Thick and Quick. Like it is that really soft acrylic, and I did wash it, so it's even softer. Turns out at possibly the detriment of my washer. Maybe I should not wash. I have a top-loading washer because it's older, and it's not like super old, but it's definitely not a front-loading one, and I bet it probably is a disaster in a top-loading one versus a front-loading one, so I will keep that in mind for the future. But anyway, but last time I was, before I finish my story, let me show you what it looks like. Well, I only put on Ravelry. It was in homespun Thick and Quick, like I said. Should probably turn down the brightness. That's a little dark. Oh, you can see my window with my hideous, hideous, hideous curtains that I need to change. And then this is my mom wearing it, so it's like a nice big wrap, whatever. It was really soft, and I do like it. And on like, I don't know, maybe I'll make one of those for myself. It was just a simple garter stitch, basically. But yeah, so anyway, so I was over at her house the other weekend, and she was like, "Oh yeah, I just was really surprised that it wasn't a crescent shape," and I was like, "Mom, but it wasn't a crescent shape, like I showed that in the pictures." And she was like, "Nuh-uh, yes it did." And turns out, I don't know, she maybe she liked both and just forgot which one she like sent or whatever, but it was a totally different pattern that she actually wanted. I have it in a text somewhere. So I'm gonna make her the new one. That makes so much sense now that I'm thinking about it, when she said like, "Oh, you can pick," I think she had something like, "You can pick a single color or whatever," and I was like, it is knit a single color, like the one that I bought, or the pattern that I bought. And this one is like crazy, like I think it's like novelty yarn, like looks like maybe eyelash. Like I didn't look at it super closely, but that's sort of like the impression that I got from my glancing at it. So anyway, it's so funny. I'm glad that she likes the probably going to be lap blanket versus now a shawl, but yeah, she does want a crescent shawl. So funny. I knew something was up. Anyway, that's so funny. But yeah, that is all I am directly working on. Let's take a break for me to direct your attention behind me. So I have organized my yarns. All of these were actually all basically, well, I definitely updated this guy back here. So all of my self-striping sock yarns that come in like matching or alternating skeins. These down here at the very bottom are from a Canon Hand Dyes Year Club, which was all Miyazaki themed, so it's super awesome. Oh, I'm so excited to knit these. So I did polar opposites so that they are different, or they're opposite colors of each other. Up here's some turtle pearl, and oh, you know, I don't think I actually showed this. So this is turtle pearl yarns. Winter is coming, and then it came with a contrast color for the heels and toes and maybe cuff. And then this is turtle pearl yarns in Wonder Woman, heels, toes, and cuffs. So this is that. And then here, this is just me like, if you look at my episodes from every other week, this was just in a disarray. I think I had been trying to stack them horizontally, and from watching other podcasts, I realized that maybe I shouldn't do that. And so I pulled them all forward and I stacked them up more reasonably. They're a little bit in disarray because I pulled a couple skeins out of the middle when I was trying to see what colors I wanted to use for my duality shawl. So these are all of my fingering weights, sock yarns, that kind of thing. They're very nice. They're not organized in any way. I was like, oh, maybe I should do it by color, and it's like, how? So you can see that I like sock yarn. It's so funny because I specifically remember listening to the Yarniacs, and they were talking about how they use fingering weight for like everything, and how like they, one of them was knitting a sweater in worsted weight and being like, wow, I totally forgot how fast worsted weight knits up. And at the time, I remember thinking like, I would never knit something in fingering weight. And it was only like 2 years ago, maybe. And it's like now all I ever want is fingering and sock weight yarns. I cannot stop buying them. And when I, even just getting like a worsted weight, I'm like, why is it so thick? You know, it's just, it's so funny. I'm just gonna tilt this a little. Down here is my cotton yarn, and then it starts getting really random down here. My bulkies at the bottom, and my books are down there, but I don't really want to go over those because they're random, and a lot of things I like, it's like all my older skeins, like all of my Red Heart, probably Karen Simply Soft and all that kind of stuff is down there. I don't really use a lot of Red Heart. I assume that they've probably gotten a lot better since 2007, but I haven't, once I discovered Karen Simply Soft, when I was buying stuff from like Michael's and stuff, that was all I bought. Unless I was buying for a duplicate stitch when I was making scarves. So it's a bunch of, it's all random. Okay. I'm trying to think of what you guys would want to listen to first more. So this episode's probably going to be a little longer. I have a lot of things that I've acquired that I want to talk to you about. I also have some plans. Let's do what I've acquired first, because that seems to lead into plans. Okay, so first things first. I want to finish what I got from ZK or ZKP, whichever, Zombie Knit Apocalypse, right? So, oh, I forgot how good everything is. I've been like keeping it in this bag in my, from Sauzier. I just remembered something I didn't just remember, but it like triggered. So, Dawn is service is probably happening literally right now, or like ending right now. So Don Himple, he was the yarn manager at Sauzier. He became ill a little while ago and unfortunately passed away last week. And it was something that it like hit me really hard because I took a brioche class from Don like a little over 1.5 years ago, and it made brioche so easy. Like I remembered, I mean, still people talk about how difficult or confusing brioche is, and I remember how he made it seem so easy. And it was so funny because he was having us do 2-color brioche, and then he was doing more complicated brioche, like he was just using whatever project he had. And he is like the most gentle, like funny, kind person. Like he had this like aura. Like I literally, every time we go to Madison, Sauzier's in Verona, which is right by Madison. It's like 20-minute drive from where my friends live. Like you just like walk into a shop and you'd see him, and he would just give you like that warm energy. Like he was just such a like gentle, kind soul. And like I feel like his death was really sudden, and like I was scrolling through Instagram and I saw a picture of him holding up the papillon, and I was like, oh, and then I read the post and I was like immediately like tears, like talking about it's gonna like make me cry again. Like it was so sad. And I was in Madison this weekend, as I mentioned. I'll talk more about that again later. And it was so sucky to go to Sauzier and have him not be there. Like I loved going to Sauzier and talking to him, and you know, I only visited once every few months or whatever, but my friend Sean would visit for me sometimes when I wanted her to pick something up for me, or when we were talking about weaving and all that kind of stuff. And she, you know, she so that he always knew when she was shopping for me, because she's not, like, she does weave, but she's not like a knitter, and so when I'd have her like pick something up for me, he'd like know. And you know, like, I have like the hair, and like I stand out a lot. I have the tattoos, you know, stand out a lot, and so like that was really cute to hear. So we bought like a sympathy card and like gave it to the people there, and yeah, so the world is a little less bright without Don. So just wanted to call attention to that. It was sad. But yeah, anyway, Sauzier, this is Sauzier. Go visit Sauzier in Madison, or Verona, if you get a chance. All right, so what I have in here, let's start with, I've had a goal of getting a sock blank. I haven't bought any sock blanks before, but I finally bought a sock blank. Super hyped to knit this. I've never used a sock blank before, and I thought this was really good colors. This is, I believe, from Zany Crafts. Yes, Zany Crafts. Whoop, whoop, whoop. Started undoing it already because it's attached to the thing. It is 75% superwash merino, 20% nylon, 5% stellina. It's 436 yards. So it's by Suzanne of Zany Crafts. That will be exciting. Can you see the sparkle? I can't. Oh, you know what? It must be after 8 o'clock because my phone. That's why it got so yellow, you guys. Oh my god. So I have my phone set to like night shift mode, starting at 8 p.m. and I should really change that to more like 9 p.m. because now I go to bed later now that I work at the U. But yeah, that's why it got yellow. You probably have not noticed anything, and you're wondering why I'm moving my camera around. Yeah, so it's on the brightness is in just yellow mode. So I don't know if you can see the sparkles because I have night shift mode on. Sorry if you can hear my cat drinking. My cats are weird and super particular, and I read a fact recently that cats don't want their water near their food for whatever reason. I don't know if that's true or not, but having moved our water away from our food, they drink more. So like I have a glass, they like glasses of water too because I think they're humans. So I just put a glass of water on this table, a glass of water on the kitchen table, and they drink a lot more. Also from Zany Crafts, I bought these earrings. Finally I can wear them. They're so cute. They're just like a little rainbow swirl. They kind of remind me of like kind of like a little sushi, but also kind of like a little universe. So I'm really hyped to wear these. I've been like trying to buy like more accessories for work because they make me feel fancy. Even if they are felted. Fancy. These are the stitch markers I was looking for from the 716 truck. I think that's the Buffalo Yarns. Look at this cute, look at this cute little sheepy boy. The limbs don't move. Steve tried. But yeah, these cute little stitch markers. It was inexpensive. Got those. And then I got 2 amazing skeins of yarn from Suburban Stitcher. I want to say one of these was the last skein of the color that it was there. This is a beautiful navy. It is a single suck, 100% superwash merino, 400 yards in navy. That's the color. It's so nice. And actually these 2 colors go really well together. I think I probably bought them to do in like a shawl or something like that. And then this is called Jane. And it's like a nice like, I don't know how to describe this. Like a pinky, not mauve, but kind of mauve leaning. But yeah, like a magenta-y which is just too strong of a word though. I don't know. You tell me. I don't know why colors are escaping me right now. But these are both insanely beautiful, like shades. Like they're like tonal, but they're like rich. And lastly, I got what I really, again, when I went to Yarn Over, I was looking for project bags, and there wasn't really that many. But I got 2 project bags from ZK, and they are both from the Silver Shed. So the first one is this like kaleidoscopy. It's like wide for like a shawl, right? Kaleidoscopy, but also looks like stockinette, rainbowy. It's got polka dots on the inside. It's got the hangy tag, and it goes the zippy zip. So that's nice. And then right when I was checking out, Steve was like, "Wait, got a Pokemon one. Gotta catch 'em up, Pokemon." So that's cool. Because that's how I roll. This one is a bright orange on the inside. She also was selling like other fun novelty ones, like some that looked like those like red and white popcorn holders, you know, things like that. Those seemed really popular. And don't get me wrong, I would have bought some, and I kind of want to buy all of them, but you know, can't buy everything. So okay, we're caught up on ZKP, but I have plenty more yarns to show you. So hope you're here for that. I ordered from Gamer Crafting 2 skeins of yarn, Lady Rainicorn. You can definitely see the sparkles on this one. It's very sparkly. And Lady Grainicorn. One of these I do actually want to like make a project for a friend. I don't know how they're gonna knit up yet though. Like I can't ever tell how projects, like when yarn is made like this, I can't, like, I try to use subculture yarns, like descriptions of like, oh, when you do the 1-inch thing and you see it pooling in a certain way, that means it's gonna do this thing, but it doesn't like conceptually make sense. Like I have to see a swatch, or I have to like see some sort of example. So I might like you knit one up and then see what it looks like, and then use the other one for my friend. I assume she will want Grainicorn just because likes darker colors, but who knows? Who knows? They are 100% or 100 gram sock, 4-ply fingering, 75% merino, 20% nylon, 5% sparkle, and the wrapper is so cute. And I could not resist buying this little sparkly like Game Boy pin with a knitting. Oh my, it's an 8-bit yarn ball. This is so perfect. I cannot with this. I have put a few pins, like I have like a couple Nerdbird Makery pins and that kind of thing like up in my cube, like, but I'm not like ever in my cube. But I do like to have having my cube represent me. So I might put that there, or I might put it somewhere around here, but probably I want it somewhere where I can see it all the time because it is adorable. Okay. So let's talk about Madison a little. So went to Madison, went on Friday, and Saturday was it's called Art Fair on the Square. So it was like the square in front of the state capitol, and it was one of those art fairs where they have like tons and tons of different kinds of art, whether it's pottery or wood or paintings or glass pictures, whatever, fancy pens, you know, anything that you artistic-y that you can buy. And of course for me that means ceramics and other things, and so it's this huge thing. I feel like I would have enjoyed it more if it wasn't 1 trillion degrees out and humidity at 1,000. And so like by the time we got like a block and a half, I was like puddling on the ground. And like I like it, like I hate winter. Like I live in a climate that is cold for much of the year and it ruins my life. But it's like, I don't know, my body's weird now. Like, you know, you get older and you start changing, whatever. And so like heat makes me feel extremely like faint. But I try really hard not to act like a wilty flower. And so I like stuck it out and we played this game. We tried to find the most expensive thing that we could, which by the way, unfortunately for us, we found right away and never beat that price, which was these like pencil, like they were really cool, but they were pencil drawings. Like they were intricate and whatever, but for like $18,000. Like nothing else even came close to that. Like the closest thing we saw was a few other like large scale pieces for like 10,000, but 18,000 for some pencil drawings. But I found for much cheaper prices a few things. The first thing I bought was this woven tea towel or dish towel thing that I kind of just want for show in my kitchen because look at how bright and pretty it is. It's a very, they had really crazily gorgeous woven things. I just couldn't justify spending like $60 on or more. Some of them were more expensive for a tea towel. But this was quite good, and I'm extremely happy with this. It's like not even complicated looking really, but I think that they used more than one heddle maybe? I'm not sure. I don't know enough about weaving. I only do very simple weaving, but I love this, so I was very happy. This was from Handwoven by Nancy Garden. Richland Center, Wisconsin. It is cotton. The next thing I got, so I've gotten a lot better about ceramics. So I used to like have to buy something from every shop that I saw, and now I've been able to get a little bit more discerning about what are my tastes and what do I like. And I feel like we have plenty of mugs. That's not to say that I don't always want more mugs, but I thought, well, I feel like we have not gotten a new bowl in a while, like a new nice bowl. So I bought this one. I love this little swirl. I love the tones on the inside. It's like purples and like just like a very hint of pink that you can't in the tones. I really like how it's glazed. It's a very good like size for a bowl. I don't like taking business cards or anything like that because I will lose them and they just become a waste. So I don't know who this is, but if you recognize that, that's who it is. And same story with the last two things I got. I don't have a business card for them, so I don't know who they are. But again, like I said, I'm trying to accessorize for work. So I got these earrings. Oh, they're like not gonna show up. They're like, so it's like layers of glass, and it's dragonflies with like a rainbow behind it. They're really, really, oh, there you go. That's a little bit better to see the colors, but not the dragonflies. It's, well, maybe on this one. Anyway, they're really, really sparkly and light, and they're harder to see, but it's just like sparkles. But like in person, it's like dragonflies on top of some like cool, like rock-looking designs. So, cute little studs. And then dragonfly, yeah, that's much better, much easier to see. Dragonfly like necklace pendant. I just need to get a chain for it. It's really nice. So the couple who was running that were like quite old. I shouldn't say that. They probably weren't like that old, but they were like old enough where I was like, oh, I don't need a bag for these, you know. And like the gentleman was like, nonsense, and he like puts a bag, he puts both of them in individual plastic bags, where it's like, you could just put them in my hand and it would have been better, right? You know, like, just like the way, you know, different generations or different like styles, right? And when I was paying them, they're like, oh, you know, wasn't it painstakingly, anyway, trying to give me change, and I was like, I don't need change. I literally, like, I would rather drop it on the ground. Like, I don't want to carry around change. I don't even carry cash ever, except for this situation, right? And they're like, no. Like, well, I'm like, keep the change, and they're like, no. And so, and it wasn't like an official, you know, like, oh, it's gonna unbalance my cash register. It's gonna unbalance my cash register, you know, whatever. And you know, whatever. I hate change. Please don't ever give me change. So yeah, anyway, that's what I got. It was super fun to like look at everything and like see what people make and all that kind of stuff, but it was so hot. And we had a huge, crazy like parking lot debacle, parking garage debacle, and yeah. But our friends had a PT Cruiser convertible, which is way cooler than a regular PT Cruiser, and I was extremely judgmental about convertibles up until we were riding in one. It was like comfortable, and it was nice to have a breeze, even though it was really sunny. And so the only way I would ever ride in a PT Cruiser is a PT Cruiser convertible, so good to know. It was like our friend Ben's dad, or family, parents were driving his car for some reason, I can't remember, he told us why, and so they left the PT with Ben for the week or however long that they're gone for. So we were driving around in it, feeling like I felt like I was a privileged child from like a Judy Blume novel. That's literally how I felt. Like, I was like, am I in the 50s? And it's like riding on the back of like, you know, whatever car was popular in like whatever era even Judy Blume's novels were set in. Like, is it the 80s? I don't know. That was like the narrative I constructed in my head. Like, what do people perceive us as? That's my story. Also at Sauzier, so we went to Sauzier on Sunday, and again it was another really hot day, but we sat in the shade outside and had our food, and I bought this skein of Simplicity Spray Haiku, or by Haiku is the brand, and I believe this is a DK. It doesn't say. It's 456 yards, and it is definitely, it says US 4 to 6, but like it's not worsted because they have a worsted line. It's called worsted. So this is not worsted. This must be a DK, or yeah, this has to be a DK. And yeah, it's grays and whites and salmons, and I like the yardage because then I can do lots of things with it. And it's inexpensive for the amount you get. And then I got some Manos del Uruguay. If you know anything about Manos del Uruguay, you know they handwrite like who prepared it and what it's called. Oh, this is Boricua. And it is 800 yards because it's a lace weight, and it's 100% wool. 32 stitches per 4 inches. I've never used a late weight, so yeah, 874 yards. And it is beautiful. Like, this reminds me of like mermaids, like all different shades of blue. I'm really hyped, and it's something like beautiful and delicate with this. Like, I'm working with some gentle lace now, and I'm gonna work with some intense lace hopefully in the future. I don't think I have ever owned lace weight yarn, so welcome to the family. Okay, you guys, I think that's it for all of like my acquired yarns that I don't necessarily have a direct project for. So moving on to what I'm excited to make. after making the My Boy Lollipop and then making the Cobain, I'm really on the train of making like tank tops and shirts and that kind of thing for myself. So I have a project that I want to make called the Cityscape Tank by Lisa Ross, Paper Daisy Creations. And it looks like this. See if it has a description. Designed to flatter a variety of body types, the Cityscape Tank uses carefully structured vertical ribbing to elongate the female figure. Constructed seamlessly in the round, this garment begins at the hem with twisted ribbing. Twisted rib continues along each side of the sweater, while smooth stockinette panels rise up from the back, front and back to heighten the clean lines extending on either side. Carefully placed increases and decreases enhance the feminine silhouette, while ribbing naturally accentuates the waist and hip shaping. Worked in a light or bright solid or semi-solid yarn to maximize the slimming effect, a lightweight wool or wool blend is recommended for this design. This sweater pairs well with jeans, capris, a skirt, or even shorts, ready for whatever a day in the city might bring. It looks very nice. It looks like it would be easy to wear as long as I made it long enough. That's my thing, is because I'm like really curvy. Things tend to ride up, and so I need to make sure that they are long enough that they do not ride up. So I ended up buying 4 skeins of Barocco Folio. And because of the yellowing here, I can't tell if it's really showing the true color. It is an amazing, like cherry heather red, kind of. Like, it really reminds me of like a heathered version of a cherry dilly bar. It is a gorgeous color. Like, I want to eat it. It's so gorgeous. The color is 4551. Let's see, does it actually give a name? It does not appear to. So yeah, it's like a red. And I feel like it will make a gorgeous flattering top for me. It's 65% superfine alpaca and 35% rayon. So I don't actually like know what is or isn't right to be, you know, making garments with. So I'm just sort of just doing it and assuming that it will work out. So if rayon is not good for shirts, oh well, I guess I'll figure it out. I don't even know exactly what rayon is, but this is like to die for soft, and it has a little bit of a halo. You can kind of see it. Hand does not work, but yeah, you can see it has a halo because it is so soft. So soft. I hope it will be wonderful to knit with. I'm excited to make it. And that is Living in My Clever Hound Creations Bright Cat's Bag. Doo, 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 doo. The next thing is Telly Bean Knits. Stephanie Lotvin is going to do a knit along, I believe. You just have to finish it by September 4th, and it started 2 weeks ago. And so I just got my yarn for it today. And so this is what it looks like on her. So she did a red with a gray, and it has, as you can see, has a lot of positive ease. I'm gonna knit mine with less positive ease just because, again, like, I'm like a small person, but I've got big parts, and so it's really easy, like, especially because my chest is really big, and so like when it says like, oh, do it based on your bust, or like my hips are big, so in comparison to like my waist and my body size and whatever, so if something has a lot of positive ease, it ends up being like, you know, a bag for me, even though you'd think, well, looking at me, that would not be the case, but it's because my bust and my hip inches are pretty big, and so for my size, and so I'm gonna be knitting mine with a little bit less positive ease, or maybe like, I think it's on the lower end of positive ease that she gives us, like the range. And I'm knitting the main color in this Knit Picks palette, Haze Heather. And look at how square this is from being like tightly packed up for who knows how long. So Haze Heather, It is like a very delicate heather with blues and lavenders, like kind of like twisted together. And it is, just color C717, but yeah. Oh, I already said haze heather. It's a fingering weight yarn, and it is 231 yards per. So I bought 6 skeins of this just in case. I think that 5 skeins might be enough, but like I wasn't really sure exactly. Like it was like really close, so I just ordered an extra skein because this yarn is pretty inexpensive, which is why I bought this. Is like I've never bought a sweater quantities worth of yarn before, and so I figured this was a good like risk-taking yarn, if that makes sense. And then the contrast color I picked, so for like the design here on the yoke, I picked Knit Picks palette Indigo Heather, and that's this. And I feel like you can really see that it is it is indigo heather. Like it's like true indigo, right? Like when you see a rainbow and they talk about indigo, it's like purple, but it's like a plum, but it's also got like navy, and it actually has hints of red in the halo, and yeah. So it's a very like complex color, and I'm really excited to see how it knits up in like the sweater. And I feel like that these two together will make a really pretty sweater. Okay. So anyway, I want to join the knit along, obviously. That's why I bought the yarn for it. So my top priority right now is finishing the Paper Daisy Creations Lisa Ross's test knit first. That's like my top priority, and plus I also want to always be kind of knitting it anyway. And then yeah, I want to start the knit along. I'm gonna finish my socks. I have to figure out something else that I want to bring to work as my work knitting. Like I might just cast on another pair of socks. I have plenty of yarn to choose from. Yeah, we'll see what I want to do for that. People keep saying that they want washcloths. My brother just expressed interest in some knit cotton washcloths, so it's like I should really be just making a washcloth every week, right? Like I refuse to knit the that like generic my granny's favorite washcloth or whatever, like where it's like you cast on 3 and then it's always like yarn overs around the edges and then it's just garter. Like I can't do it, you guys. But there was a really cute one that I did once that had kind of slip stitches up in a diagonal up it, and that went pretty quickly, I think, and it looks really nice. So I don't know, I feel like I should maybe be doing one a week, and maybe I should just do those at staff meetings or whatever, in downtimes at work. Like maybe I should be doing that, stop being so selfish and knitting everything for myself, who knows. Yeah, so thank you for getting through all that. Yeah, it's been an hour, but I'm not finished. I'm gonna start talking about some life stuff now. First things first, as you can see, I got a haircut. You can kind of see the back. I don't know if I turned around enough for you to see what my hair looks like in the back. But yeah, I got it cut short. My hair has been shorter before. It's long on this side. She did it so I could like have it flipped this way or flipped this way. If you look at older videos, my hair was flipped on this side. And I had been flipping my hair this way for many years because I can't really see out of my left eye very well, like everything, even with these thick glasses. My vision in my left eye is pretty bad. The vision in my right eye is not, and is fine. And so like I would have it flipped that way because if my hair fell in my eye, it doesn't matter because I'm not really like, I'm usually really using this eye for periphery vision anyway and not like true vision. And but with these glasses, the way my hair falls, it doesn't fall in my eye, so it's not a huge deal. But like, and look at the, like, I love what she did here with the blues and the pinks and the purples, and it's gonna probably fade out really fun. And I might cut my, next time I cut my hair, I might cut it so it's just like the pixie, where it's just up against my head, pretty short. I really do like that look, and we'll see. I really like that look. I feel like my round head maybe doesn't lend itself as well as I want it to for that look, but we'll see. Oh, I also got my nails done. They're longer than I normally want them to be. These are my natural nails. I get the dip done. This is like a shimmery orange, which you probably can't tell, and then the sparkly nail. But it's because the next time I kind of want them coffin shaped, and my nails were not long enough to do that this time. So growing them out, letting them stay long so I can get that shape. Not like a super intense like angle coffin, but just like a gentle. Like I just like it when they're pointier, and when they're just like kind of square shaped, when they grow out, they just get duller and rounder, and so I want them more narrow. The only complaint I have about nails is I can't grab anything. Like they're too thick to like if I get something in my teeth, I can't pick it out, which is a bigger deal, or it comes out more often than you think. And like opening things, like oh my god, I was trying to peel a security like tape off of like a bottle of sunscreen, and I could not for the life of me get one of the edges to come off. Like I worked on that for like 10 minutes, and then I finally handed it to Sean, and I was like, Sean, please help, like I can't do it, you know. That's the only frustrations. But I get my nails done, obviously it looks nice, but I get my nails done like once every 6 weeks or so, 5 or 6 weeks, because I cannot stand chipped nails. If I chip my nail, I will pick at it forever, like literally forever, like until it's nothing, until it's a nubbin that is painful and probably bleeding. And because I can't stand jagged edges. I mean, I'm a knitter, right? Like I cannot have jagged edges, and I'm always knitting. And then also because I don't get hangnails, because they clean out, they, you know, clip all of that stuff off, so I don't get hangnails. When other people on other podcasts talk about how they get hangnails all the time, I was like, I don't really, like I don't, now that I get my nails done, because they clip them for me, which is really convenient, because hangnails also are the worst, obviously, for knitters. But I have, not to brag or anything, but I have like decently good skin in terms of like, it doesn't get super dry the way that I think a lot of other people's do. I have friends who get like insanely dry skin, especially cracked hands, and I don't really get that so much. And I don't really use a lot of lotion. Same thing, like I don't use chapstick really. I use like Carmex at night if my lips start feeling dry, but that's about it, and I feel like that is really beneficial. I do use a face lotion, like a face lotion in the mornings, but that's like it for like my self-care routine for my body. I do put on body lotion if I feel like it's winter and I'm starting to dry out or something, but I feel like leaving my skin makes it nicer than like overdoing it and like drying it out. But that's my skin. What else? Oh yeah, so we went to Madison. Madison was good. I talked about most of it. We did play some dance games. We did play some mini golf. I did terribly. Had some funny antics. For how hot it was, there was a lot of people there. It was so hot, and so many families, and it's like one of those things where I know we're like hypocrites and like bah humbug rude asses, but we're there to play mini golf, and it's like these kids running around and hitting like their ball 6,500 times, and like that's not actually annoying, but it does take time, or like when they like hit their ball into ours, or like when they walk over our course, you know, kind of being all over the place and not being managed. But the worst actually is other adults who are in groups, and the courses, there's 2 outdoor courses and 1 indoor course, and they're all 18 holes, and they do really stress like a 6-stroke maximum per person, because there's only 2 courses on the outside, and it backs up really fast. And we had a group in front of us where yeah, they were drinking and whatever, and so they were like a little bit sillier or whatever, and like they were definitely not adhering to the 6-stroke maximum. So, and it's like, it wasn't even that they were carrying, like it's like, you know, they'd hit it and they'd hit it a couple more times, and then they'd get to their 6, and then, you know, they start being more haphazard with their hits because they're getting frustrated or whatever. It's like, oh, you're not taking it, you know, it's not a big deal, whatever. And so then they end up hitting it like 13 times, but they're not really trying. And so it's just like bouncing all around the course and just wasting time. And like, it's not that huge deal, but it's like, there's 6 people in that group, there's 4 people in our group, and then there's like this couple behind us that's just like waiting for 45 people to go so that they can finally play a hole, you know. So it just like, was kind of annoying in that way, but like we mostly ignored it. I'm just complaining now. And but it ended up being, I mean, I love mini golf. Mini golf is so fun. I'm sad that this is like the first time this year we've gotten to play mini golf, other than maybe once in the winter in the indoor course. But yeah, then we did art fair in the square, played some ITG, not a lot. I like struggle so hard on Ben's machine now that I'm like really used to my machine, and that is unfortunate, but it still is like fun to play and like make him play and watch him and Steve play, and it's like cool to be on a machine where you can have two people at once, because our machine has two pads, but we think that maybe a solder link has been broken on one of the pads or something, because it doesn't respond. I think only the right arrow responds, but I think it's like it doesn't work very well, and like there's 4 arrows, they all have to work, so only one person can play on our machine at a time, which sucks. Speaking of ITG, we finally got the results of the tournament that I was in for 6 months or whatever, and I did take first in my division, and that was fun and exciting, and like my friends were super happy for me, and like, I mean, you don't get anything for it, it's just like cool to like see I had like definite progress in ITG that I've made, and like it was really effective, and so I was really glad that Kyle put that out for us to do, because really it's like I'm fine at like up to maybe 11s and 12s in ITG, or I was, and this tournament, instead of having me like flail through all the 10s, 11s, 12s that he picked, which are all super technical and very difficult, and get kind of bad scores, and maybe get better at those songs individually, what I did is I took one division down, and I like really focused on foundational skills. Like, you know, it's so hard when you know how to do something that you don't want to go back and like really hone it, like really get it down. And so those songs really taught me how to improve my accuracy in a way that I don't think I would ever get just by playing songs. And so it was really cool, and I am definitely better at ITG than I was before I started the tournament, and so that's really exciting. And yeah, it was cool, so yay me. Been working at my new job for a month. I'm finally actually getting into the part that's actually my job, which is the tech training and the document writing. So I'm going through the document writing training right now myself, so that I can actually do the document writing. And I'm also on a bunch of like little teams and stuff like that. And one of the teams that I'm not, like task forces basically, that I'm on is for accessibility. So even in this short amount of time, I've learned so much about accessibility. And one of the things that I have been learning a lot about is like alt text. And like I know about alt text, and I put alt text on images, but it's like kind of here and there and whatever. And I've noticed that people on Instagram have started putting alt text at the bottom of their image. And so I looked more into that, and I noticed that Instagram does have an alt text feature on their images. And at first I thought, oh, well, that's cool. At least there's like 2 options, you know, people put up here, people put it down here, whatever. But then I did a little bit more research, and I found out that if you don't, like, for all of your posts, if you don't put alt text on your image, Instagram will just guess what's in your picture and add it for you. So I don't think it's the worst thing to have it in 2 places. Like, that's fine. If you want it to be visible, and I also heard that other people who may use screen readers or some other form of accessibility to hear alt text image alt text, that they like it at the end of the image. But if you don't put text at least on the image itself, Instagram is gonna guess. So let's say someone uses a screen reader, they hit go, right? They select the image, they start the screen reader. It's gonna say whatever Instagram thinks your picture is, then it's gonna tell your caption, then it's gonna tell your alt text or nothing if you don't have alt text. And like, that's extremely problematic because Instagram doesn't really have alt text to be accessible. Instagram has alt text because they want your images to show up in a Google image search, whether that matches the image or not. So it is in your best interest. And I mean, it's the right thing to do. Like, you should want your stuff to be accessible. To put alt text on your image, just copy the alt text from your image and then put it in your post. It's super easy to do. Take your picture, filter it, edit it, however you want to do it. Then you click next. And then you scroll down. You probably don't have to scroll down, just look with your eyeballs down towards the part where it says Advanced Settings. You click Advanced Settings. Then you look at the bottom of that. Then it says alt text, or I think it says accessibility, and then underneath it says alt text. Tap on alt text. Then it will bring up a little page where it just says like describe your image or whatever. And it gives you plenty of room. I have never run out of room, including when I've been directly putting a bunch of text in there. So if you have an image, you should describe it concisely and accurately with what it is. You should probably state your name or whatever, however you want to identify people in the image. Then you should describe what they are doing or what you see. And if you have words, like if your post is just words, just rewrite the text in there. It's not that hard. It just takes a few, like 30 seconds, you know. I know it feels kind of fiddly at first, but being frustrated because of alt text is your privilege. Like, it just really is like the world right now, or the world always, is 100% geared towards sighted people. It is so ableist in a way to accommodate sighted people, and it is not for people who aren't sighted, and that is bullshit, really. So we should just be doing that always. That just should be a matter of course. Like, it's kind of annoying at first, but once you get into but that's, like, again, your privilege, right? Like, you have the privilege to not think about what a screen reader does when it reads your image. So, like, even if you're overwhelmed and you're like, I can't do that for every one of my posts, do it for some of your posts. Especially do it for your text posts, because if you don't, then someone's gonna get to your text post, whatever Instagram says, words on a page, or whatever Instagram assumes your alt text is, and then nothing underneath it, or like no context or something. Like, you really should be adding that in there. But even if it's like once a week, or if it's just a certain type of post or something like that, I think it really behooves everybody to do that. If you really want to see what it's like, you can always, if you have like an iPhone, you can like triple tap and you can click accessibility in your settings, or whatever, that's an iPad, is the triple tap. And then in your settings, you can go to accessibility. Safari also does screen reader stuff. You should really check that out and try it and see what it feels like. Like, imagining how annoying it would be if you didn't have the right kind of access to the things that you're trying to see. So I implore you, check out the alt text. I have reached out to a few people on Instagram about it that I know have larger followings or are more influential. Someone I'm not going to name, who is extremely influential, was very rude to me when I like gently reached out. Like, I'm a really gentle person, and I try not to be, like, I try to have that balance between like being too meek but not aggressive, or like pedantic or anything like that, you know. But she was very terse with me and basically told me that her way was fine. And so I recently learned some stuff about myself. My work does this thing called Insights Tangent here, and it's like a really insane like sort of personality profile. Like, a lot of it is directly applied to work, but it also it's about you as a person. And one of the things it says is that, like, if I feel criticized, or if I feel like my ideas are being shit on, basically, then I withdraw immediately and avoid that confrontation, because I take rejection super personally. And it's like, yeah, that's me. So I took that rejection really personally. I felt really bad. I was trying to figure out, like, what did I do wrong in the interaction? I can't believe that she would be so, like, she would rebuff me in such a way about something that is really important and helpful. And I think it's really not about me, and I don't think it was about the way that I went about it. I didn't like slide into her DMs or anything like that. It was on a post. But I reached out to someone else. Like, I took a few days. I made my own post. I felt a little bit better about getting more engagement. I got a decent amount of likes and shares for me. And I reached out to someone else who is pretty is also big and influential and has been published and all that kind of stuff, and she was really receptive, and so that made me feel a lot better, like, okay, like I'm not crazy, or I'm not you know, whatever. And so I really encourage you to spread the word. I do have posts in my highlights and also on my grid if you would like to share the information and like see an example step by step and that kind of thing. In my highlights and in my post, I do think I say like don't post it in two places, but after conferring with the other person, you know, we agreed like, you know what, it's better to have both than none, right? So that's totally fine. Like I totally support that now. That's why conversations are important, which leads me to my next thing. So I thought about like writing a kind of script, because I really stumble over myself. I'm not a super articulate person verbally, or at all, really, because I was thinking, like, if I wrote a script, would that be good? But I don't think that I would do any better writing a script and reading off of it. You know, obviously, I shouldn't say obviously, but hopefully obviously, you are aware of what happened with that sock guy recently. When the initial post started coming out about his behavior, when he first shared his poem, I read it and I was like, huh. Like, I didn't really know how I felt about it. I don't really think that hard about a lot of those things. Like, I was just like, that's weird. I didn't know the context behind it, and I was just like, oh, okay. You know, some people like that. I think it's kind of dumb, but whatever. And then, so especially in those situations, right? I see it, I like think like, that's kind of strange. I'm not really sure what he's trying to say with this. And that's a lot of my problem, is like, I take things at face value and then I'm like, I don't know what this means. Like, and so I don't really do anything about it. And then later that same day that I saw the thing, and I saw the post because someone shared it, because I didn't know who he was. I had no idea who he was before this. And I didn't even know he wrote that. Like, it's like one of those things where, like, I just thought he was sharing something, whatever. And then later that day, I saw people that I follow of color who were sharing, being like, what the fuck, you know, right? They were like super upset about it, and I was like, oh, he's saying that you can't, like, really can't use, like, he's saying that he owns the hashtag, you know, like, I guess my interpretation at first was, like, when I first read it, I was like, oh, he's trying to say, like, he wants everyone to get along. Well, that's kind of what everyone wants, right? Like, that was, like, my first thought, and then I just moved on, because people are stupid. I just ignore them all the time. And then when they were like, no, he, like, is saying he started the hashtag, and so he's trying to reclaim that and saying he's not comfortable with BIPOC people, Black, Indigenous, or people of color using the hashtag. I was like, oh, that's really stupid. Like, who does he think he is? You know, like, then I immediately was like, whoa, step back, you know? And I shared the poem. I can't remember who came up with it, but, like, the response poem, which was super great. That was basically like, back off, you know, like, how dare you, that's so rude, like, that's racist, really, or like, you're a white man trying to control, you know, the use of a hashtag, you know, like, oh my god, like, I saw the phrase caucasity used for something else, and I've heard it a few times over the last week, and it's like, yes, the caucasity to just, like, think that you just have the, like, leeway to do that. So I shared that stuff, and, like, I talked about it, and, like, that kind of thing, and I did put it in my stories mostly because I didn't realize it was going to explode, or, like, that he was going to escalate, and because, again, like, I didn't follow him, and I didn't know him, and I didn't realize that he had a big following, and I didn't know anything about him, so I just assumed it was just, like, one guy doing a thing, like, and I was really busy over the weekend, as I told you. Like, it was, like, top to bottom, but I did spend a lot of the weekend, like, following, like, whoa, what happened, you know? And so then I, you know, actually, what I really did this weekend was I was talking to people in real life about it. Like, we were just like going over, like, you know, we were really talking about it. My friends are like, I'm really close with Ben and Sean, but I don't know what they always think about things, and so that's who I spent the weekend with, and so I brought it up and we talked about it, and it was really good to get their perspectives and hear their opinions on it, because they're not a part of the knitting community, and I guess it speaks to the amount of work that I still need to do on my Instagram. Like, I think that I have not shared some things in the past, not because I'm afraid of anything or like that I'm not outspoken, because if you know me personally, like, you know how I think. Like my like number one thing in life basically is human rights. I've spent my entire careers being advocates for people, whether that's for mental health, whether that's for special ed, whether that's for adults, children, old people, as a CNA. Like, I have done everything. Like, my bachelor's degree is in community violence prevention and intervention with a focus on family violence. Like I am I did my internships at, you know, a teen homeless shelter, and that was exclusively attended by African Americans, and like, by the way, if I say Black people, it's because my experience and where I live and the people that I work with have specifically told me that they don't want to be referred to. I've never heard anyone, like, they all tell me they don't want to be referred to as African American. They either want to be referred to by Black or brown, depending on who they are, like verbatim. And so, like, when I say that, that's why it's been my experience. But yeah, so the reason why I haven't maybe sometimes shared everything is that in the past, up until the last less than a year, my Instagram was primarily personal or like followed by people I knew in real life, and so it felt like I was talking to no one when I was sharing things from the knitting community. Like, it was super out of context. It was like a non sequitur all the time. Like, people didn't understand, and I didn't want to re-explain everything in a way like it wouldn't make sense, or like they wouldn't care about it. And I'm actually and what speaks to the work that I need to make sure that I am now doing moving forward is that I shared these things, and people that I know personally, not necessarily close to, actually, that's the thing, the people I'm close to really know, but people that I peripherally know in real life or used to know are commenting like with their own shit that like doesn't matter, that's like their own white privilege and whatever. Like, someone who I went through, who was in my Montessori program for some of the weeks, she lives in Ohio. She lives in Cincinnati, and if you've ever been to Cincinnati, Cincinnati has two races. It is Black and it is white. And there is a clear definition in a lot of places that the Black population is much poorer. It's an extremely gentrified city. Don't get me wrong, I really like a lot of the cultural things in Cincinnati, but it has a lot of problems too. Where I live, in the Twin Cities, we have a lot of different races and nationalities living here, particularly people of color. We have a very dense Somali population in Minneapolis. We have a very dense Hmong population in St. Paul. And as a teacher, I worked in the urban areas because a lot of reasons, actually, but I really enjoyed the vast diversity of students at my school and in my area. And I live just outside of the east side of St. Paul, and so it is a relatively diverse but definitely much more white area. And so I feel like the issues that, like the things that we faced, like when I worked in the St. Paul School District, we talked about race constantly. We spoke like we were trained to speak like, as a white woman, this, right? Like, I am identifying my race. That has been my experience, that has been my privilege. And so I am perfectly comfortable identifying the things that I have gotten as a part of my race. Now, I'm Hispanic, my last name is Mexican. but I am white. So even though my heritage is Hispanic, I am still presenting as a white person. I have had a white person's experience throughout my whole life. Like, the only like consequence of my ancestry is that my last name is Hispanic, and it is always 100% of the time mispronounced until I correct them. And that's it, you know, like I have many of the benefits of being white, and so like I am comfortable stating those and acknowledging them, and I love listening and learning from people whose experiences are different from mine. And I feel so passionately about that. And in this little insights thing, one of the things that it actually calls out, again, like I don't know how that it knows this about me based upon like the questionnaire that I did, or like it has a very specific like thing, but it's like not as in depth as the freaking answers that you got. But one of the things was that like that I avoid confrontation until I blow up, right? Like I go from 0 to 100. I get super passionate and I lose all articulation. So like I'm terribly suited for arguing something online, because I can't like make the words happen, and I lose my shit, and I can't like argue like the coherent points. Like I can't nicely state things in a way that makes sense. Like I just stop making sense really fast. And so I hate, like I like to share the things and I want to talk about them, but if someone challenges me on something that I think is a like basic human right, or something that I think is just human decency, like I can't even argue about it. I just get so mad that I like become completely inarticulate, and I want them to go away, you know? Like obviously if you really think, you know, and this is just like, this is my stuff. If you think that you need to question, like, so anyway, let's go back. The person from Cincinnati, she commented like this like wavy all over the place comment that was saying like, I don't see color and I would rather be a number with a model, something about cars, than be referred to by my race, you know, like all this kind of stuff. And I tried my best to explain that it was extremely harmful because it denies the experiences that are lived by people of color. And then another person who, again, I know peripherally a little bit more than I knew this other person, you know, she, having no idea what I'm talking about, you know, commented like, basically like, I experience misogyny. I am also a marginalized group because I do cosplay and people catcall me and try to touch me inappropriately and whatever. And, you know, which is its own thing. And I understand where she's coming from, and I agree with her with that, but it's not about that. And I told both of them, like, it's not a competing victimization. Like, you can have marginalized situations, but this is what we're talking about. Like I am sorry, but you are not going to get murdered or physically harmed, probably, because of these things most of the time, whereas BIPOC experience this all the time. So anyway, he posts his posts. People call him in, like they really like, they called him in. They weren't even like trying to make him feel bad. They were like being like, whoa, this is harmful. And he responded with arrogance and rudeness and meanness. And if you're in the knitting community or the crafting community, you've definitely, you know, heard of this. But if you haven't, that's what happened. He double, triple down on it. Like, no, I am in control. I am gay. I cannot be racist, you know, like. And then other people started sharing like how he described his book and how he, blog posts that his husband has written, and they're all like very like the tone like just dripping with arrogance, dripping with disdain for women. It's mind-boggling that he had such a huge following when he had these kind of beliefs. I like don't even know how to. It's just wow. And then women of color started sharing more about how like situations in which white people didn't stand up for them, they were just bystanders, and they were letting this violence happen, be perpetrated against them, whether verbally or physically or both. And All of that, of course, culminated then in a woman of color seeing him after he was in the hospital. Oh, sorry, I forgot to mention that. His husband posted, like, deleted the comments or closed the post, said that he was in the hospital. Look what you guys did. You put him in the hospital. Now he's a victim. And now they've been clinging to that narrative that they're the victims, that they were bullied into sending him to the hospital, when those comments, the, like, vicious, venomous comments that they were saying to these people of color weren't, as if they don't have that violence perpetrated against them, that they weren't basically, I mean, not even basically, they were telling people, they were having all these dog whistles, right? Like, find these people of color, you know, take care of these bullies, whatever. And then his husband wrote these blog posts about how, like, oh, these people are starting a new Ravelry for the people who are not welcome at Ravelry. Like, dude, if you don't think you're welcome at Ravelry, I hope you're still not watching this, because you would hate me. You don't think you're welcome at Ravelry because they don't want white supremacy, open white supremacy on their website. Like, get a clue. But anyway, like, saying, like, they were going to be welcome with open arms in this, like, group. I don't know, it's just all disgusting. It's all just disgusting. So anyway, he's in the hospital on Wednesday night. And then on Sunday was at a yarn show selling and signing books and not addressing anything, like, acting like nothing happened, that he didn't blow up the crafting community. And so no one says anything, no one says anything, no one says anything. And then another vendor there is a woman of color, and she went up and asked him, like, you're not gonna say anything, you're just gonna act like nothing happened. And in what is kind of a typical privileged white male fashion, he lost it and got up all in her face and whatever, and, like, had to be physically restrained and removed from the event because he so can't own up. All they wanted was an apology, wanted, like, explaining that he made a mistake, right? And he couldn't do that. And still can't. And so this all just speaks that there's, like, constantly continual violence perpetuated against people of color, and that we, as white presenting people or white people, however you identify, if you look white and are getting privileges that white people have, use that privilege, leverage it. So ways that I do that in my own life is I talk about race. I call out when things are bullshit. I have arguments with people as necessary. I'm just maybe not great at them. About privilege and about how you're benefiting from privilege. Like, privilege doesn't have to be a bad word. It's just a thing. It's a thing that you experience. Like, it's just, like, sorry if you have privilege, but you do. Everyone has some privileges. And, like, you need to own them and use them in the most appropriate kind of way. And so I talk about it with people in my life. I am a very alert person in public. I am ready to be there if I need to, for being a witness to things, to disrupt as necessary, to ask questions, to intervene, whatever it is that I can do, right, to help someone out so that they don't end up dead or unprovoked arrested or whatever, right? I do that. I have, you know, I do protesting stuff when I am able. I donate to causes. I have, like, a recurring donation right now to, oh my god, I can't remember the name of it right now, but it's the lawyers group for detained immigrants at the border, and that's, like, a monthly thing that I donate to. I've gone to protests. I gave rides home after one of the Philando Castile protests, when they arrested a bunch of people for no reason. You know, and so I'm only telling you these things, by the way, so that if you're like, oh, how can I help, or what can I do, I'm just telling you, like, what I do, so that if you want to do those things too, or something similar, you can. So I do those things. I have also started, now that makers of color have been saying like, hey, if you want to sponsor patterns for people, you can totally do that. So I, been putting like patterns, generally speaking, are like $5 to $10, right? So I've been sponsoring patterns when makers of color release patterns. I have, typically I sponsor 2 to 4 depending on the cost. So if I buy my own, then that's one more. But then I, on their Patreon or no, I don't know what page it is, whatever pages that they have, you can, it might be I think it's pronounced coffee or Ko-Fi, however like Ko-Fi pages, but I pronounce it coffee since it's saying like buy me a cup of coffee, so coffee pages, then I put money towards that as well. And I am looking into like setting up like an ongoing fund so that I can be like, oh hey, this maker of color has a new pattern out, here's a few sponsored pattern purchases. I'm just not sure if how I want to go about that, but I am working on it. I also share things promoting people of color and buying their stuff. Oh, I watched Kalisha Nidirtani's podcast yesterday. Like it was, I think 2 podcasts ago, but she mentions at the end that a woman who is a podcaster referred to her as her colored friend. Please don't ever call anyone colored. Like, that is not a thing you say in 2019. That has so much historical negativity on it, and it just creates an image of lesser than, and it is like not like it's not like saying the N-word, but it's not good. Please don't ever refer to someone as a colored person. Oh my God. Please. What else? I'm still doing a lot of listening. I'm trying not to just sit back and do nothing. I think that my sit back and listen is more like, don't make a rash decision before I have information. Like, not saying like I need all the sides. It's more like I don't know what's going on, so I'm not gonna, and not as like an excuse, but like I'm not gonna say anything until I find out what's going on. And because of the people I follow, I feel like I can figure that out pretty fast. So I'm vocal, and and human rights is rights, and no one is lesser than, and I will fight for that, and I always have fought for that, and I will continue to fight for it. So I'm not saying I'm perfect, I'm not saying that I don't make mistakes. I really try hard to not come across as like a white savior, and I don't think that like in person I come across that way at all, but maybe the way I talk about it, sometimes it can come across that way, and it is a very fine line between like these are the things that I do and give me attention for the things that I do. So if I'm coming across a certain kind of way, please let me know. Yeah, I think that's all I have. If you follow Sockmatician, unfollow and he deleted his thing. Don't refollow him, and please rethink yourself if you're thinking of joining the racist Ravelry. Yeah, make good decisions. Follow people of color. Support them. Buy their patterns. They're amazing. Listen. Correct mistakes. Not everything is a personal attack. I'm telling myself this too. Please look forward to my next podcast with my next patterns. What are you excited about making this summer? And also, what's the weather like where you are if you are not in Minnesota? I want to know those things. What are you working on / excited to make? And what's the weather like? That's all I got. Bye.